Greetings, friends and fellow citizens of America. This is Brother Bart's Conspiracy Corner News. Also like to welcome all of our international guests, like Brett in Australia, Seb in Canada, and the many people, fans all around the world who support this channel. Thank you so much. Oh, well, what can I do? I have to talk about what everyone wants me to talk about, and I guess it's become my morbid specialty. Why we didn't go to the moon. A lot of people don't realize, just like about 9/11, they don't realize there was a building 7, a third building that collapsed in its own footprint. So many people don't know that. Many people don't know that the Earth is surrounded by deadly radiation called the Van Allen radiation belt. It's deadly because the sun, let's say this is the sun over here, it sends out cosmic rays. The Earth's magnetic field traps them around here, and it itself becomes a barrier of protection for future cosmic rays. So when the space shuttle orbits the Earth, it's right about here, which is only about 200 miles above the Earth. So just pick a spot geographically from you that's about 200 miles away, 250 miles away, I think, actually, and put that vertical, and that's as far as the space station is. In fact, every manned mission, Gemini, Mercury, Skylab, the space shuttle, Soyuz, have all been in Earth orbit around here, except going to the moon. Let's say the moon is this little dot over here. They would have to go through this in order to reach the moon. And it's my belief that they never left Earth orbit. The secret tape from A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon proves they were in Earth orbit the entire time. And what a surprise. 50 years later, the farthest a man can travel from the Earth is 250 miles away. 50 years later, from the time they claimed to have gone 1,000 times farther on the first attempt with 1960s technology, which is 1/1,000,000th as powerful as a modern-day cell phone. And then you have the Orion project, which is allegedly to take men to the moon, quote, again, or to Mars, in which they'd have to go through the radiation belt. So they sent a spacecraft into this area here, about 3,500 miles up or so, 3,600 miles, to have Geiger counters read and then come back down. Well, here's what this guy had to say about the Orion project, Kelly Smith, who inadvertently admitted they did not go to the moon back in the 1960s.
We are headed 3,600 miles above Earth, 15 times higher from the planet than the International Space Station. As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. Radiation like this could harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion. Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice, once up and once back. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation.
But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation.
Sensors aboard will record radiation levels for scientists to study. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space.
We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space. For this flight...
Okay, I think that's enough right there. I appreciate this person on this channel who kind of, slowed that down here. In fact, we can take a look at the graphic here again. What they said is we must solve these challenges of radiation before we send people through this region of space, which means the technology to survive going through the Van Allen radiation belts has yet to be invented. Right? Because they must solve these challenges before they can send people through it. And that's what they're working on now. So they just said the technology to survive going through this immense radiation has yet to be invented. Oops. Then why is it that they claim to have gone to the moon? Oh, way back in 1969. And now we know why the shadows intersect when they should be parallel by sunlight. It's because they shot it in a television studio. Now it's all starting to make sense. Do you see? The moon landings were indeed falsified. The technology does not yet exist to send people through this region of space. And Kelly Smith just admitted it. So I called NASA. I said, hey, I'm a journalist. Can I please talk with Kelly Smith? I'd like to ask him a few questions. Oh, no. Since that statement, he doesn't give interviews anymore. Oh, really? Okay. Well, then why don't you send me the Geiger counter readings of the Van Allen radiation belt, because you sent them right up into here, right, 3,600 miles, and go ahead and just send me those Geiger counter readings. I'd like to publish them. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Sibrel. That information is classified. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Is the temperature of the sun classified when they sent probes to the sun? When they sent probes to Jupiter to measure how much helium is in the atmosphere, was that information, that percentage of helium in Jupiter's atmosphere, was that classified? No. Was the temperature of the sun classified? No. So why would simply the amount of radiation in a part of nature, why would that be classified? There's no reason for it. Unless disclosing it would prove how deadly it was, which would prove that the moon missions were impossible. In fact, Van Allen himself said in a 59 report in Scientific American magazine, I'll try to remember to link the article which includes that in this YouTube video description beneath the video. It says that the radiation in the belts from the very first Geiger counter, whose Geiger counters broke because they were so intense, right? They said that those measurements were anywhere from 5 to 100 times a lethal dose. I've talked to people at NASA who are higher ranking than Kelly Smith, and he says, we know the moon landings are fake, but if we try to say it officially, publicly, we'll get fired, and we like our jobs. We have bills to pay, and we like working in the aerospace industry. It's a catch-22. So kudos to Kelly Smith for getting it out there. Brave soul you were to do that, and I hope you don't get fired. This has been Brother Bart's Conspiracy Corner News. Please stay tuned, and thank you for your kind support.